This episode is brought to you by Bright Cellars, a personalized monthly wine subscription. Start by taking a short, fun quiz, and the algorithm designed by 2 MIT grads will recommend the 4 best wines for your tastes based on science. You'll receive 4 bottles of wine per month, and you'll never receive the same bottle twice. Go to brightcellars.com/wine-to-5, and you'll get 50% off your first shipment.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to 5. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, 2 wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
Hey, Wine to 5 listeners, we're back, and we hope you enjoyed last week's interview with Cynthia. So after some wine label bottle babble, we'll be doing some grape gabbing this week, right, Steph?
Oh, yeah, but before we get to the main course, amuse my palate, would you? And tell me what you're drinking today, Val.
Well, I am drinking something from Spain because in my glass is the El Miracle. I guess that's how they said it, or El Miracle is how it's spelled, by Mariscal. It's a Garnacha Tintoria, and it is from the producer Vicente Gandia in Valencia, which is in Spain. It's on the East Coast, just south of Barcelona. This is a 2013, and it is about $12 a bottle. As I mentioned, the grape is Garnacha Tintoria from the old vines, but it's not Grenache.
No, just to confuse everybody.
I know, right? Because I looked at it for a minute, and it's been a while since I've done the studying, and it's actually Alicante Boucher. But let's hear about what you're drinking first, and then we'll get back to what this grape really is. Does that sound good? Since
okay.
we're still in Spain here.
Yeah, we'll just do a little back and forth here.
Okay.
I don't want to neglect my bubbly I've got over here, so I want to tell you about it. I've got the non-vintage Grape Gab Brut Rosé Cap Classique.
Oh.
Which is so fun to say, Cap Classique. From South Africa, but maybe you already knew that it was from South Africa when I said Cap Classique a few times. Mm-hmm. But, you know, this is a bubbly it's not just for celebrating, thankfully. It's for, Tuesdays when you're recording podcasts or the weather's the shit, you know? Mm-hmm. I especially like how the back label, speaking of labels, bottle babbles, mm-hmm. is, it says, quote, flirtatious and fun. So, does that not sound like so much fun? I mean, it makes you smile. You're like, I am having fun. How did they know that? And the other thing is it's a pretty bottle, mm-hmm. and it looks classy. It doesn't look silly, or even though it's pretty, it's not too girly. I mean, I think it really is a classy bottle, and it's also 54% Pinot Noir and 46% Chardonnay. It's also made in the, champagne method or traditional method. So it's a sophisticated wine that you should feel proud of when you open and share it with your friends. So go on and get some for yourself because it's only less than $20 a bottle.
That's crazy. And I'm so glad that they're making it easier to find that over here. And I have to say, I love that particular one because mm-hmm. when I first went to South Africa and we first landed and it was a hot day and we had just come from, where did we come from? Germany, where it was cold and it was winter. So we had just been in the Christmas Halls market in Munich and we fly in and it's hot. And the driver, of course, isn't paying any attention to the road whatsoever. He's looking at a cell phone. And you're trying to be all like, oh, this is so beautiful, the cliffs and the sea and Cape Town. It's so gorgeous. But the driver's trying to get you killed. And I was too stressed out watching this driver to look at the beautiful view. And you're sweaty and you're smelly because it was a 12-hour flight on Lufthansa from Munich. And so you finally get to this beautiful hotel. And you finally get showered and you're starving and it's late afternoon and we go sit on this patio at this beautiful hotel in Cape Town. And that was the first thing I ordered was that glass of wine right there. It was the rosé, it was the Grape Gab, and I thought, you know what? I'm sold. And to this day, I mean, that was my first memory of South Africa. And of course, even up to the time we left, to this day, one of the most striking places I've ever seen on this planet, and the wines truly are awesome, and I'm so glad to see that we're getting them here now.
Yeah, and I have a somewhat similar story because I too have been to South Africa, and it was the first wine that we also had
What?
at our hotel. Yes. It was actually, there was a bottle of the Brut, so it wasn't the rosé, but it was waiting for us in our hotel room. And I don't remember if that was something Justin arranged or what that was all about. But needless to say, he'll get the points no matter what because, going to South Africa, having a beautiful bottle of sparkling wine like this, it sets the mood. And I think it's so cute that they have their own Cap Classique description of their kind of style of traditional style sparkling wine, and it's a fun thing to share with people who've are bubbly lovers or they're curious about South African wine, and now you can find Graham back in a lot of local liquor stores and wine shops. I'm not sure that you would find it at a supermarket, but
Not in Colorado.
maybe, yeah, not in Colorado, but yeah. So it is a great wine, and it's affordable.
It is, and it's they also call it Kapswinkel as well. Kapsevonkel. And if you go to like High Constance, they'll actually have it on the label, Kapswinkel, which is like Cape Sparkle. So that's another name for their sparkling wine. But I love that story, and that makes me want to go back to South Africa. But we should probably go back to Spain and get into our Grape Gab, though.
Grape Gab, bring it.
Yeah, we got a couple of them for you today. So I've got one, of course, the one in my glass here, and then Steph's got one following up from just up the coast, and it has to do with Bubbly again. So we're going to kind of go full circle in this conversation today. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm going back to this red wine in my glass. It's Garnacha Tintorera. Garnacha Tintorera. And when I said it's not Grenache, like a lot of people think Garnacha is Grenache, which is true, but when you say Garnacha Tintorera, it's actually Alicante Bouschet. So, while Grenache is its daddy, as we like to say on this show, along with Petit Bouschet, this grape is actually called Alicante Henri Bouschet, named after the guy who created it in France. And when we're studying wine, and a lot of you out there have studied for your CSWs or your SOM exams or whatever, you learned about something called a teinturier. Remember those? Mm-hmm. The grapes with the pigmented juice? Well, that's this. This is the Alicante Bouschet. It's also called Alicante. You'll see it as Alicante, or just plain Tintorera. And it's got some other names if you're in Romania and what have you. But most people don't realize that grape juice, all grape juice, for the most part, is clear. And the only place the colors come from in a red grape or whatever, like the wine you're drinking right now is a rosé, that color actually just comes from the skins. It doesn't come from the juice. But in this case, in the case of a teinturier, this is wine exam like 101 when they talk about a teinturier. This is Alicante Bouschet, and this is a grape where the flesh of the grape is actually colored. And I had to dig into a little bit more about this grape because even though we studied a little bit, I didn't learn a lot about it because I never really drank a lot of it. And, it's just like, just know what a teinturier is and be able to name one or two. Well, it turns out that this grape was very popular and used quite a bit during Prohibition.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. And the reason is because you could still get color after a third press. So,
that's so interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of times when you press the grapes and the skins or whatever, the more you press, the less color you're going to get. So, yeah. So you would still get a lot of deep color from this one because you got the juice and the skins all adding to that color. So I thought that was pretty interesting, but who knew? Have you ever had this by itself?
No, I haven't. So that sounds like a cool wine. And it does make a difference when you can taste something. That's one thing I would definitely encourage is that you got to drink more, people. Because here's the thing. I mean, how do you remember some of this stuff if you've never had it before? You just don't always make the connection. So it's cool. Like, this could be a good new #W25 challenge. See if you can find something that's the Garnacha Tintorera and or an Alicante Boucher, because it'll say maybe one or the other on there, and you can connect with the education a little bit more.
Absolutely. I think that's the best way to learn. If you can't travel and get those things, those experiences in your head, at least the experience of tasting and smelling and seeing the label and remembering where you were when a certain wine felt a certain way in your mouth, it definitely helps, especially if you're out there studying. And if you're not, you just want to find something funky to enjoy with your friends. Like I said, it's $11, $12 bottle. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is so cool. And what is it? What's one of the how would you describe the wine as far as like body, or comparing it to something else that you've had?
When I think about this one, it's a very simple wine. It's not overly complex. So
Okay.
when I talk about simple versus complex, that means there aren't layers and layers of different kinds of flavors. It's mostly fruit. Not a lot of earth.
Yeah.
It is a 2013, so you'd think there'd be a little bit more earth on here from bottle age, maybe just a little bit of leather, but not a whole lot. But to me, it's mostly black fruit, and it's not overly fruity. So it's definitely not a wine I think is going to live a long time.
Yeah,
So
but a good food wine?
I would say a good food wine. It reminds me of something, just a wine I would get from Sicily, like a Nero d'Avola or something like that.
Okay.
So I would have this maybe with some barbecue, nothing fully fatty. The tannins are still kind of medium minus on it. Doesn't have a lot of acidity either, because remember, it's from Valencia, which is a little bit warmer, in Mediterranean climate, right? So yeah, I would say it's definitely an easy drinking wine, but it's definitely deep in color. Look at the color on it. It's very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then not overly aromatic either. So more like black currant, dark black fruits. But when I first sipped it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, it reminded me of like grape juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though it's 13% alcohol, it's not very warm. So I would say this is a very easy to drink wine.
Oh, I like that it's 13%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
absolutely.
Well, so we're going to stay in Spain a little bit and talk about another lesser known grape called Trapat. Have you had a Trapat before?
Yes, absolutely. I've had that sparkling wine as well.
Yeah. The
Yes.
same one?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So why I picked Trapat as the factoid was because I just tasted 100% Trapat Brut Rosé Cava from Pere Ventura called Tresor. The wine itself is called Tresor, Tresor. And I thought it would be fun to mention on the show because it runs like $15 a bottle and it tastes great. I mean, it is like a crowd pleaser. And it is a very fun celebratory design on the bottle as well. So that's always kind of fun to be maybe a little bit more flirty again. What did I say? Flirty and fun.
Yeah, flirty and fun. But remember last week, we can't say vibrant.
Oh yeah.
On the label.
Can't say vibrant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was kind of impressed with that for sure. But so the down and dirty on Trapat, it is a red grape indigenous to northeast Spain and historically really used for rosé, or in Spain they would say rosado cava, like the one I'm talking about. And it makes light to medium bodied wines with some nice bright acidity. So, maybe kind of think Pinot Noir-ish. And it typically expresses notes of strawberries, raspberries, cherries, and rose petals, just to kind of name a few. There's even its own festival, okay, and that's called the Festa del Trapat, and that started in 2010. So, hey, might as well get that on your calendar and, go to the festival. And what also is worth saying is that the grape itself is getting a little bit more attention with some experimentation now. So you can, you might see some still wines, some really elegant styles that are more like a Pinot Noir than just the rosé or sparkling styles. So I have not had one like that yet, and I look forward to it. So
That's
there
cool.
you go.
Yeah, so if
That
you've
is
had a
cool.
Trapat, definitely give us a shout out, or if you find one, go ahead and post it and let us know what you're tasting out there. I love these like off the wall kind of wines and grapes and stuff like that. And
The
I
fringe grapes.
fringe wines, fringe grapes. I'm excited about unusual things. And I have to be honest, when I bought this wine, I think it was last year, and I was just looking for something for studying, just for comparison. And for some reason, I saw Old Vine, I saw Garnacha Tintorera, and for some reason, it just registered. I was looking for something Grenache based.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought this thinking I was getting a Grenache, and I never opened it. It was just one of these, it's at a store that I don't even buy wine at normally. I just go there for their beer and then their whiskeys. They have great prices on their whiskeys.
Uh-huh.
But their wall of bombers is fantastic. And so I usually go there for beer and maybe an occasional lottery ticket and then their whiskeys. And every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I need wine for an exam. If I'm here, I'll just pick up a bottle. So this was one of those bizarre things I just picked up. Wasn't even thinking that it wasn't even Grenache. And now I'm sitting there looking at it going, this isn't Grenache. It doesn't really have that red berry or that high alcohol that I'm used to with Grenache, or that depth. And then I was like, oh, that's why it's not Grenache. Grenache was its daddy.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Who's your mama?
Who's your mama? So I love it.
I love it too.
Thanks for that factoid, Steph. That was fun and exciting. That tied right back to your sparkling rosé, and I like how that went full circle.
It did. Well, I think it's now on to our wino radar, which sometimes I'm serious. Like these factoids and these radars are all kind of flow together.
Yes.
I mean, what's on my radar is usually the factoid.
Right?
But did you see something from the Wine Tutor TV on malolactic fermentation?
I'm actually registered with them, and I get their emails. I did not, unfortunately, watch this one because it just came out last week.
I think it just came out, and I saw it on Instagram, of all things, and I was like, oh, well, they got their marketing right, because that came right to the right person and right when I needed it. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with Wine Tutor TV, which is winetutor.tv, and we'll have the link in our show notes. But, that's how you get really geeky with wine knowledge. These guys are masters of wine, and the whole program and website is to teach future masters of wine. Now, that being said, you can still sign up and you can still watch these videos. You don't have to be, in the program, which is why I got to watch the videos. I love these guys. They're so entertaining and they're digestible. Like this particular one on malolactic fermentation is only 8 minutes. And it's great because you can get all of this information condensed into 8 minutes. And, Tim also mentioned biogenic amines, like we talked about back in episode 104, when wine makes you sick. So if you didn't get to hear that episode, go check it out. But he did talk about it, and I thought that was cool, and it kind of links back to some of our grape gabs and bottle babbles and all that we do on Wine 25. So, and one last thing, and you probably love this too, Val. It's so us. But Wine Tutor TV says, like, they have a tagline that says, study smart, stress less. I'm like, yes, you're my hero.
And I have to say, I wish they had all these videos when I was studying for the diploma, because a lot of times I'd be on the elliptical and I would want to watch like these short videos on wine, and they just weren't out there at the level I needed. There were a couple on like all the German wine regions. I remember watching those, right when we first got our elliptical. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to zip through these, and watch these. Yeah. And just so I could, in the back of my mind, remember, okay, yeah, Franken, that's where they had the box butyl, the goat scrotum and all that. And then these guys came out. And if you remember at Christmas time, we talked about the Rioja scrolls. Hilarious.
That's right.
I love these guys. And they are the epitome of wine doesn't have to be snobby at that level.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
Yeah, and you still learn something.
Yeah, and you still learn something. It's open to everybody, and they're just super cool. I think there's a bunch of them up in Washington State right now, too. I think I saw some video from Col Solare today, which is a Chateau Saint Michel Antinori partnership, I believe, up in Red Mountain, Appalachian up in Washington, and there's a bunch of MWs up there having some fun up there this week as well. So I kind of like to follow what they do, because it's like, man, it's just some of these guys are super cool and having a great time, and they just make you want to just geek out even more. It's just, I really enjoy watching this. I wish it had come out earlier.
Yeah, that reel, How Scrolls too, Justin thought was really pretty funny. He pointed out something I missed the first time I watched it, which was like one of the guys has like a hole in his pants, a hole in his ass, like basically.
Oh, I missed that.
Is hilarious. Oh my God. And Justin's like, I think his pants are ripped. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And sure enough, it's like part of the silliness that they have in all these scenes. And one of the guy's pants is totally ripped open. And it's like, unless you're really paying attention, you wouldn't see it.
I noticed the Bud Light t-shirt. That was it. There was like a Bud Light t-shirt. I'm like, you cannot look at those cool dudes. And they're not easy, they're not hard on the eyes either, I have to say. They're not hard to look at, and you can't look at those guys and go, wine is for snots. You can't do that. They're just super cool. So yeah, check out Wine Tutor TV. I really recommend it. It's just sign up, and the video links come to your inbox like every time they release a new one. So yeah. So on my Wino radar, yeah, there must be at least 7 new podcasts in my phone this past week. And that's probably underestimating. I just subscribed to a whole bunch of new stuff, mostly comedy and mostly politics comedy, because I just need it. And there's one that actually does have to do with booze, and it just launched this past week. And this is called Tannins and Tunes. We have Jessica and Jonathan as our hosts, and this show chats about musicals, which I love, and I'm sorry I sang, but, Jonathan does, but he does it better, and he sounds like he belongs on a Broadway stage, and I believe they studied enough theater. Jessica's got her WSET too, so she actually knows stuff about wine, and they're just adorable. And it seems that you can just pair anything with wine these days, so why not some Broadway? I am a big musical lover. I am a closet Andrew Lloyd Webber fanatic, I have to say. I've seen Cats.
I didn't know that, Val.
I've seen Cats 3 times. Whatever. And I've got the book, the T.S. Eliot poetry book. And I saw Phantom of the Opera in London. I saw Cats in London. I've seen Sarah Brightman live twice, the original Christine. So I am a big fan of musicals. And when I lived in England, that's what I did. I went to London to see musicals. And so now they're pairing wine with it, which I think is absolutely brilliant. But I have to say, they've got one episode out as of this recording. It is May 2nd right now. We're recording this. Guys, if you're listening, and we're going to give you a shout out, I'm hoping you don't pod fade, because we've had a movie wine pairing podcast before that we were really excited about, and they did like 3 episodes or 4 and they went away, and that's what they call pod fading. So Jessica and Jonathan, if you're out there listening, you guys got something really cool going. I hope you continue to do it, and please don't pod fade for us. We're rooting for you. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah. And congratulations on your show.
It's really well produced, I think. And I really was impressed with it. So congratulations. Somehow I found them in Instagram, which I've already shouted out to Instagram that I'm going to get off there if they keep sending me toilet paper commercials in my feed, toilet paper ads in their feed. But, stop it. Stop with the toilet paper ads in my feed, Instagram. Come on.
Oh, that's so bad.
I know.
So bad.
There's that. So shout outs.
Well, so there's that. Yeah. Yes. And shout outs. It's kind of like, see how all these things flow together? The factoid is like the radar, and the radar is like the shout out sometimes. But let's go on. Shout outs are fun. Yeah. And I like to acknowledge all of these cool people doing cool shit, including Gunpowder Irish Gin, baby. What? Yeah. I tasted that at the Palm Bay International tasting event in Denver last week. And not only is it just so impossible not to just be tickled to death when you meet Irish men that are behind these spirits brands, but this gin also has this cute, funny jackalope as a mascot, and it's on the bottle, and I'm like, what is this all about? I mean, it's a blue bottle. We got a jackalope. It's Irish gin. And then to top it all off, it's infused with Chinese tea. And that's where the name comes from, because it's Chinese gunpowder tea.
Oh my gosh.
So it has a unique flavor profile. I actually was there with Robin Sauls, who was our guest with Girls Gone Grape. Robin and I were at the tasting, and Robin approached the table, and she's like, I'm a tequila girl, so I'm just, I'm not sure I'm going to have any gin. I'm like, oh, you got to try it. Come on, you got to try it. She's like, well, I don't really like gin. She really liked it, so much so that she took a couple of photos and then put it on Instagram saying, I think I am now a gin fan, because it was so smooth, but it had a totally cool flavor to it.
There are a lot of cool gins out now. I mean, made with everything from saffron. I mean, you can't just say you've had, one type of large brand commercial gin and go, now I don't like gin. Again, there are so many craft gins and craft cocktails out there. There are some gins like the Monkey 47 that I had in, last week. I'm going to go back to last week again with Cynthia talking about the Apothecary label. That bottle's a very good example of that, and it's also an example of a very cool, unique gin. And then you go back to the branding. What's with the jackalope? Hey, Susan Redmond, I bet Suzanne Redmond, she could tell us, Susie's Grape Crush.
Oh yeah,
she could tell us if they got jackalopes in Ireland.
I don't know. I think so. Or there's some, silliness about all that. I thought people from Arizona talked about jackalopes. I didn't know people from elsewhere talked about jackalopes.
I thought it was a Texas thing, and then I saw a bunch of different ones when we were in Jackson, Wyoming. We were in Jackson Hole, and I was like, we walked past a store, and there was a jackalope with webbed feet, and I'm like, what? I didn't think they have webbed feet. So I don't know. So the whole jackalope thing is just hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Oh my God, I want to try it now.
Oh yeah, I got to get some. I don't know that if it's in Colorado or not yet. I should probably look at the website and see, because then we can have some together. Because I'm coming to see you
next
soon,
week.
And I'm bringing goodies.
I can't wait. We got goodies here too. I love when Steph comes to town. This is so exciting.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. So shout out, because we're running long. My shout out goes to Carl Rosa and his lovely wife, Sonia. Who are those people? Carl Rosa and his lovely wife, Sonia, started exploresushi.com, and they brought it to Colorado Springs last week, as of this recording. I learned more about sushi and how most of us really don't understand it in America. We really don't. And all these things that I thought I knew about sushi over the years, I don't know about which ones I should eat with my hands, which ones not, what you should be looking for in a well-prepared bite of sushi, how to make the rice, which has been my biggest conundrum. This was a super fabulous event. It sold out. It had a waiting list. It was sponsored by Williams-Sonoma, the Colorado Springs location here. And so Sherry and Tammy from the store joined in the fun. And so they came and everybody learned how to make sushi. And then after every roll or nigiri sushi, bite or whatever people made, then I talked about wine and sushi pairing. So they invited me to come walk around these tables full of people and talk to people about wine and sushi. And I picked 2 wines that were pretty nice with the sushi. I picked a cava. And we had a Spätlese Riesling, and then we had a Bordeaux, which absolutely nobody loved with the sushi. And then we got to explain why. And I didn't pick the wine because I thought it would go. I wanted to talk about the components and textures of flavors and how to make that wine better with sushi by using the salt and the lemon and the flavor balancing like we talked about with Tim Hanai. So Tim Hanai's name came up quite a bit. And how to enjoy the wine you like with the food you like came up quite a bit. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of people asked questions. And people came and chatted. People who love podcasts, asked about the podcast. So if you guys are listening, everybody who came up and talked to me after the sushi and wine event in Colorado Springs at the end of April, some of you asked about sake. I promised to hook you up with episode 27, where our master sommelier joined us for talk about wine and sushi. And we're going to link that for you in the show notes. But it is episode 27. You got to go back to 2015. And you can listen to what Sally Moore has to say about sake because that's kind of her bag. So definitely check that episode out.
Cool.
Right?
I wish I could have gone. Man, we got to have another one. When is the next one?
I want to say he's starting the sushi schools here. I want to say there's going to be an event in June. I don't think we're going to do wine at that one. At least I'm not. And I think he's going to start bringing more and more classes here to Colorado Springs. But if you're in Houston, check out the Sushi Club of Houston. They've got, 17,000 members or something like that. And I'm going to tell you, the way this guy teaches is phenomenal. He's got it's an aggressive teaching technique, but you will learn. So when you get over the fact you're not going to be doing push-ups, you're just making sushi. But he's so funny and so impactful. It's just a great teaching style. And I wish more people could teach wine the way he teaches sushi. He did a fantastic job. So thanks, Carl, for inviting me to come play with you guys, and for everybody the Loft in Colorado Springs who hosted the event as well. And I look forward to doing more sushi myself.
Oh, that's terrific. And then you can give me some more sushi tips when I come down and see you.
Oh, for sure. I bought a sushi rice drainer. So you can clean your rice, learn how to clean the rice before you cook it and everything. Yeah. And there's a special colander that's made for rice that I bought. And I was just like, well, gosh, all this time we've been trying to clean our rice in a regular strainer. And they have a special thing for that. So Williams-Sonoma was on hand with some of their goods, and I brought one home. So that and one of the raspberry Kit Kats, because Japanese Kit Kats come in 208 flavors. So we tried a couple flavors of Kit Kat that night, as you have as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, I love it. And I love our Patreons. So let's give them some shout outs too, Val.
Oh my God, yes. Our tenacious tasters, Jeff E. from We Like Drinking, Lynn from Savor the Harvest, Sebastian of Sassy Italy Tours, and then our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners. We love you, Meg in South Dakota, Clay in Arizona, John in California, Andrew in Illinois, Eswani in California. And if you guys want to jump on the Patreon bandwagon, if you like what you hear, you like spending time with us every Thursday in our Wine to Five community, then, it's like buying us a glass of wine, really. Why become a Patreon supporter? You get early releases of all the episodes, exclusive content, shout-outs, swag, and every month you are entered into a drawing for a surprise wine gift. So anybody at the $2 Tastemaker listener level and higher gets entered into the contest. In fact, right now I'm back to the bag, Steph.
Oh, it's time.
I'm back to the bag.
It's this month's winner.
Because we're going to pick it today. So yes, I have the winner here I have a bag full of everybody who is subscribing to the podcast. And remember, you get one entry for every dollar. So if you're at the $2 level, you get 2 entries every single month. And if you're at the $10 level, you get 10 entries every month. So every month we pick a winner. And this week, what are we giving away, Steph?
Yeah, so this month we are giving away a copy of the Girls Gone Grape game. It's not a copy, it is a game. You get the game. Courtesy of Robin Sauls.
And we'll see who's getting the game.
So,
okay,
drum roll.
One here. Andrew
Villarreal,
did he already win?
He did already win, but I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to have a different gift.
So Andrew won again. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, obviously we need more Patreons, or these guys are going to keep winning every single week, and that's cool. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah. Seriously, step up.
Yeah, I mean, well, because the chances are really good of you winning right now, so that's really cool. So we appreciate our Patreons. We love you guys. And if you want to get in on a monthly wine goodies, go to our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/wine-to-five-podcast, and you'll learn all you need to know. Otherwise, send us an email.
Yes, thank you so much. And please also share our show. You can grab someone's phone and help them subscribe too. If they're just not inclined with the sharing part, show them how to do it. And we would also love it if you would leave us a burning wine question or a comment on SpeakPipe. Maybe, how about write a review of how much you love our show? 5 stars. We would love that too. And also, you've heard us mention it before. We do have a store on our website. So the books that we talk about, some of our other little fun things are for sale there, so check that out. And you can connect with Wine25 on our private Facebook group called Wine25 Community. We're also on Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google+. And you can hook up with Val on Twitter at Wine Gallon Box, and as Vino with Val on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest as The Wine Heroine. And you can find me on Facebook.
And you guys can join us next week if you are so inclined, because we are having a special episode. We're going to be talking about the Sideways sequel, Vertical, Passion and Pinot on the Oregon Wine Trail by Rex Pickett. Until next week.
Cheers!
Thank you for listening to the Wine25 podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.